I'm here at Sports City for a short tour of the Sports City complex Doha. The complex houses the Khalifa International Stadium, the Torch Doha Hotel, the Aspire Academy, and a whole host of other sporting facilities, including Aspire Park. So Khalifa Stadium, first built in 1976, was the one and only major stadium in Qatar. It's one of the 8 stadiums for the World Cup, but the only one that has been refurbished, whilst the rest were built from scratch. The original capacity of around 68,000, but this was refurbished in 2017 and the capacity reduced to 45,000. It hosted 8 matches, 6 matches in the group stages and 2 matches in the round of 16. This particular area is very close to me in that this is where I first came nearly 8 years ago to do some work experience as this stadium was being renovated and refurbished, and I spent quite a few weeks here over several visits. It's now a very modern, state-of-the-art 45,000 all-seater stadium, and just round to the left is the Doha Torch Hotel, which is a 300-meter structure, hotel, restaurants, viewing gallery. It's a landmark. It was, up until recently, the tallest structure at about 50 stories, which has now been taken over by the Lusail Towers, and I've done a separate video on that, which you can have a look. But in there you got Michelin star restaurants, 5-star hotel, and a beautiful viewing gallery right at the top. You get a fantastic panoramic view across the entire park. And the complex also houses the Aspire Sporting Academy Arena, and a lot of European teams, Barcelona, Real Madrid, amongst regulars, turn up here for winter training. A lot of European clubs who have winter breaks come out here to use the state-of-the-art facilities. There is an aquatic centre here, a 50-metre Olympic-sized pool. There are various sports, medicine, physiotherapy, all sorts of facilities. And it sits quite proudly in a very large, next to a very large park, which has hosted fans during this World Cup. There's a fan zone, fan park. Like a lot of stadiums, have served their purpose during this World Cup. It's now a place where the remaining fans and tourists are coming along just to take some last minute pictures and videos and have a wander around, visit, to see. Because what you don't do is, on a match day, you don't get to see things as clear as this without people. On match day it's just bodies, and you don't get to see the sort of various interesting bits of the stadium or its surroundings, or how it the stadium is also close to one of Qatar's most famous shopping malls, Villaggio Mall, which has about 250 shops, first opened around about 2005, and then there was a fire back in 2012 and they refurbished it after it was closed for a while. And it's designed sort of Italian theme. There is a 200-meter Venice style canal inside the shopping centre, and you can use one of the many gondolas to ride from one end to the other. There are, in addition to the shops, there are lots of other entertainment facilities, indoor theme park, ice rink. There are 2 ice hockey arenas, soft play areas, restaurants and takeaways and fast food outlets. In fact, it probably has more fast food outlets in one place that I've seen anywhere. You know, every fast food outlet from everywhere around the world is there. So I'm just gonna have a quick walk around. So I'm not going to go in because it is just a stadium, empty stadium at the moment. I'll go around quickly just on the perimeter, just to give you a sense of place and perspective and context as to where it sits. So it's on a main route out of Doha towards Education City, and after this coming weekend, all of these facilities, FIFA branding, World Cup branding, will start to come off, and the stadium returned for public use once again. So all of these spaces outside the basketball courts, a lot of these are turned into basketball courts now, are typically car parking spaces, and the indoor sporting facilities are quite extensive here as well. As I said, it's a major sporting complex, sports medicine, sports therapy, and if I can, unless I have to book, if I can get up on top of the Aspire Tower, just at the back of the arch, then you'll get a sense of the size and scale of the place, and of course get to see the whole complex in its entirety from the viewing platform at top of the torch. And as with all these stadiums in every major city now, giant letters tell you exactly what it is and where it is. It's all part of the branding for the World Cup. So I'm just walking towards the south side of the stadium now. So going back to the time that I spent here at the Khalifa Stadium while the refurbishment was going on, it was the first stadium to finish and be ready. And I remember being part of the team who welcomed the FIFA inspection team. A very exciting day, because that was the day that the stadium was signed off as being fit and met all the regulations, and it was ready. So it was ready good 4.5-5 years before all the other stadiums. Then again, it was only a refurbishment rather than a rebuild. Just coming around the southeast side of the stadium, all the barriers and the bins and car parking. I wonder if I can get around this side without interruption. Car parks have shades on them because during the summer months temperatures can reach up to 40-45 degrees and basically scorch the cars and the paintwork. So they provide these tent-like structures above it just to stop the sun from damaging the paintwork and metalworks. I'm now on the east side of the stadium. As we go around, hopefully I'll come out at the torch, and that will effectively be a full 360 view of the stadium. So it's got these two Wembley-like arches. They're almost cut away design, revealing the stadium inside with a running track around it. It's a nice compact stadium. It held one of the England games. I think the England USA game was here. And 8 games in total. It's a capacity of about 45,000. Obviously not as high as Lusail or the Al Bayt Stadium, which is 80,000 and 60,000 respectively. So as I said, as well as the stadium and the torch, the complex Sports City complex here also has various athletics, training tracks, 4G, 5G, training pitches, natural grass pitches, sports science, sport medicine, rehab facilities. International and club teams come out here for cold weather training in the winter, and lots of players come for their rehab to get fit and back to playing again. So in the background you see the Aspire Dome and the Aspire Academy. It's further that way to the right. It's been modelled on the famous La Masia Barcelona Academy that has produced, amongst others, Lionel Messi. So their ambition is very, very big. Their dreams are big, and they want to develop and train the next generation of superstars from here in Doha and the Middle East. And there are kids here, I understand, from all parts of the world making use of the state-of-the-art facilities that are made available to them at a cost, of course, like everywhere. So just looking back at the stadium again, and the torch here just behind me. So I'm coming around now to the torch. As I mentioned already, the torch is, and was recently, up until recently, the tallest structure here in Doha at 300 meters and 50 stories. Has now been surpassed by the two Lusail towers at the boulevard at 70 stories. So the torch now is a 5-star hotel and restaurants and viewing platform, and it's a legacy. It's a legacy from the 2006 Asian Games, which the mini version of the Asian Olympics, held in 2007, and this project is a legacy from those games. You know, looking at the sort of the back end of the stadium now, and the rest of the complex, and you can see over in the distance there's another arena. It's actually like a kids zone. There's all sorts of science experiment type things that go on. You've got these in big shopping centres like Westfield. So it's a whole lot of stuff that goes on in there. This is the aquatic centre that I mentioned, the Hamad Aquatic Centre, which has a 50-metre Olympic sized swimming pool, and just the back of the stadium with all the FIFA World Cup branding still very much on it, very colourful, sitting under the shadows of the torch. The torch is lit, like with a lot of buildings these days, in whatever colours and designs they choose, and in the night it is a spectacle. They do light shows and everything off it, so it's really, really good. And just to the right of the torch, as we approach it, is the Villaggio Mall that I mentioned. We'll go in there and we'll make a separate video. I just want to focus on the perimeter of the Khalifa International Stadium, a stadium that I helped build, well, refurbish. That's my claim to fame, my contribution to FIFA World Cup Qatar 2020. I'll make a separate video on the Doha torch if I can go in, and also the Villaggio Mall. There are some interesting things to have a look at, and very quickly go over to Aspire Park, the green oasis in the middle of a desert. It's a huge park, tree lined, open, play areas, lakes, amphitheatre. They have very big screens for shows, and they still have very big screens erected for the football. So just looking back, the back end of the stadium, the security are the only people that are now just hanging around, biding their time, waiting for the final semi-final to take place on Wednesday 14th of December, third place match on Saturday the 17th, and then the showcase final on Sunday the 18th of December, kicking off it, the doors open at 2 o'clock, the closing ceremony at 5 o'clock, and the big match at 6 o'clock at the Lusail International Stadium. This is a VIP area for the Khalifa International Stadium. I haven't watched any games here. It would have been nice had I come earlier in the tournament, in the group stages, then certainly would have been nice to go and sit in one of the seats that I have pushed and pulled and prodded to make sure it was all ready for inspection by FIFA inspectors. Coming round to the front once again, there's a water fountain, and that's where we will end this video tour of the external perimeter of Doha's first proper international stadium, the Khalifa Stadium, and my project, my first project here in Doha.